ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of On Point. It is 4 p.m. on the East Coast. It is focused on Liberia. Hopefully, we are on the platform. Mr. Jimmy Eastman, our engineer, and make sure we are on all of our platforms. Please, ladies and gentlemen, do us a favor, share this show. We are in for a doozy. Today, we are talking about nothing else during the past election. Everything Joseph Boyka said was jobs, 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 jobs. The country needs jobs. The young people need jobs. The professionals need jobs. The technocrats need jobs. In fact, we got so many of them that I don't even need to go into the diaspora. We have enough men and women on the ground to do the job. And this is our hope. This was the hope. This was the rescue. Ladies and gentlemen, it looks like the rescue train needs to be rescued in the midst of this all, Mr. Eastman. We are having an issue, like we say in the United States. You are going to rescue someone, you better be ready. You have your rescue truck, your safety vests, your belts, your ropes, your flashlights. You have all of those things that will rescue folks. Are we looking at this? Ladies and gentlemen, before we get into this argument, let me introduce our folks, and hopefully I am not yelling like some folks say. You are so excited about George Weah, you scream. And I say, yeah, it's the passion that when it comes to the CDC. But now that we are in the new direction, the folks promised Liberia that there were going to be a change. Things would be highly professional. I know Mr. Jimmy Eastman is guilty of staying with the old tired excuse of it's too early. Even though we made promises of change, it's too early. We are bungling. It's too early. Even though we promised we're going to hit the ground running, it's too early. So what is not too early? Let me introduce everybody before I go all out. And after I have done the introduction, we'll do some sports intro before we get into politics. As you know, the World Cup the venues of the World Cup was announced today. And we are here in Miami and we are celebrating because we are going to host the bronze medal games in downtown Miami. It's going to be on fire. The whole of South Central and North America will be in Miami. Mr. Eastman, welcome to another edition of On Point. How are you and how's the nation's capital?
Hey, Mr. Gaiman, it's a pleasure to be on. It's an opportunity to talk to our people, let them know our thoughts and analysis on the situation on the ground back home. There is a lot to talk about. I hope we even mention Prince Johnson's, and I don't know if it's a sermon, but it was more political than anything that he carried on today, where he had some hidden messages. Very, very interesting thing going on, but it's not surprising. And when we get into it, we'll take it apart.
Muted. Mr. Morris, the Sermon on the Mount that Mr. Eastman referred to, we're going to get to that. Prince Johnson said Joseph Boyka might be crazy. He should have known better. That they wanted 7 ministries and they barely got one. And he said Joseph better be careful or order his mind or something like that. Talk to me, Mr. Morris. How is this thing going?
All right, thank you, Mr. Gaiman. First of all, let me say good afternoon to you, gentlemen. And I want to say I like that. I don't know if you're considering a bazan or whatever kind of gown you wear, but it's really nice, Mr. Gaiman. Look, you know, our Sunday show is a blessing to be on because we kind of just tie a bow on all of the news from throughout the week and give our analysis. You know, a lot of people missed this Prince Johnson story because it happened today, so we have a chance to talk about it. But it's always a pleasure to be on. I'm excited to dig into these topics.
Great, Mr. Towell. You will be the Notre Dame of our program. You will be the same quarter you told us from the beginning, Mr. Gaiman. Changing the head of the Liberian government means absolutely nothing. You said nothing is going to change. If not, it's going to get worse. Just I did Mr. Morris, and Mr. Morris says, Mr. Gaiman, I am bracing myself just in case Joseph Walker become president. I didn't see it. I didn't see any pathway, and I had to bite the bullet to congratulate him for being young and far-sighted. He says, I want Mr. Weir to win, but I'm bracing myself for the possibility of Joseph Boyka because it's going to be disastrous. I think, Mr. Taiwo, you were here. You said something similar. It looks like when I'm sick, I need to come to you and Mr. Morris to tell me what's going to happen to me. Talk to me.
Yes, good afternoon, gentlemen, and for everybody watching, I'm glad to be here once more. Yeah, this thing really have nothing to do with whether it's work out, whoever actually is the head. Just like I said, the way the structure is set up and the way the governments are set up to function, if you really understand them, it's difficult for something to work. And because there are way too many interests, the way the electoral process is held, people from outside investing in these things, both inside and out. So even though the president said that they're running for them to be president for Liberia, but whoever is putting out the funding and all of this stuff, the people that are actually invested are willing to collect. So it's always going to be that difficult. And what we are seeing now is the reason it's even going to be more difficult in Liberia. Liberia is now set to where it's like one single party cannot win. How do you bring together Mr. Gaiman and Mr. Eastman when they both have different ideology and different interests and different aims, and you bring them together as coalition, and when they win, how do they iron out these differences? Some of these things are diametrically opposed to each other, some of the interests, and so it's difficult for them to ever meet. So it's what we are seeing when Prince Johnson and all these people are making threats, and people even within the Unity Party they're complaining. People in the Unity Party they are complaining, but they were part of the party. They were in the poo water, but guess what? There was somebody providing the funding. There were people funding these campaigns, and these people have interest. So they feel that they can do without maybe this person and that person, but they need that funding for 2029 or as things go on. So that's what we're seeing here. But I
Great.
hope that things can get better, you know.
Great, Mr. Anthony Gay, welcome to the show. I see you on the phone with Omen Wakai, waiting for your call. It's all right. Mr. Gay, today the topic on point is the rescue mission amidst the scramble for jobs. And you got to give Joseph Walker credit from the beginning. He said jobs, 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 jobs. But it turned out that the jobs he was talking about were not for the average Liberian. They were not for his worker bees. They were not for his loyalty. They were for special interest. Mr. Gay, your idea or your perspective on the jobs, who's in, who out, we will go into that. We will go down the list of those people that have put their lives on the line. Some went as far as killing other people for Joseph Boyka to become president. Now that Joseph Boyka has become president, they are nowhere to be heard, nowhere to be seen. We're going to go through what happened to the Appletons of the world, the Arcos of the world, the Milton THGs of the world, the Fangon, the Morris Krumah. I mean, we're going to go down the list. Mr. Gay.
Well, I was surprised today when I received a phone call that I'm appointed as the Assistant Minister of Post and Telecommunications.
Hey!
I'm just kidding, man.
So, hey, listen, yeah.
They know waiting for you to bring your fiber optics and put it under the sea and give out internet.
The telecommunication that between me, you,
Yeah,
Ishmael, Tabo, and Mr. Morris, right?
No, but in all fairness, Joseph Yuma Braga told exactly what he was going to do. If it calls for him to dance with the devil to get what you want to get, he will do it. So if a person makes such a statement, you gotta be wondering what is he depending on. You know how people have a parallel to say that the bamboo know why it depends on to drop a child from the branch of the tree. You don't know, you can't drop your child. You gotta understand what the bamboo depend on, the chimpanzee, let me say it that way, to drop a child from the branch of the tree, right? So He told us already that he would dance with the devil. So whatever pleases him, that's exactly what he's doing. He already knew exactly what he wants to do, how he want to do it, and he didn't want to understand that blueprint. He has the master plan in his hand. All the other people around him really do not understand him. And I think right now people are getting to understand who JMB actually is, because people try to predict him, people try to speculate and all of that different thing. But no one understands this man. Look at how many people who were close allied to him from the very beginning. Those people are nowhere around. The likes of Mr. Uriel, who was then the first person within the CPP who declared his support automatically and said, listen, I'm a political leader, but I'm not going to seek any leadership within the CPP, right? Followed by young Kanga Lorraine, followed by the rest of the other people. Then a young man Costa, who at the time was the most, popular person on radio and on
It's
Facebook.
just an introductory statement, Anthony. We get into the thing.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I look forward to the discussion. But Mr. Gave me a question to you, like we're already into the discussion, so that's the reason why. But yeah, thank you for reminding me, Morris.
Very good.
You see this man here. He playing the same trick the Unity Party people play. Oh, Joey, I did it before. Ellen did it before. So what's the difference between us now? Don't hold us responsible.
What about ism?
Mr. Eastman, let's
Yes,
get
sir.
into the topic here. From your personal experience, when we are looking at, I have never in my political sojourn seen a team that fought so hard to bring someone to power, to be totally set aside, to be totally replaced with people that they themselves have never heard of, never seen. I think Mr. Spoon said it well on his Friday show. He's so upset. What's wrong with people? He said, we have seen names and people we never seen since 1847.
you know, there are many competing interests in that boycott camp. It was a hodgepodge of interests because to defeat a popular president like President Weah, they had to go all over the place, and still they just narrowly beat him. So what is taking full is not surprising. Um, it will does reflect on people's integrity and people's sincerity, but then again, it's politics as usual. So, but what I want to see, what is more important, as we want steady decision coming from the administration. We don't want to see different people giving different instructions and different commands, and that's the only thing they have to balance. Yes, they're going to disappoint a lot of people. A lot of people going to make a lot of enemies. But this is what they have been doing. They have been collecting bodies along the way. Henry Costa, Uri, who all the bodies. They've been collecting bodies as they on this sojourn to presidency. So now, of course, there are going to be more casualties along the road. But what they need to do is centralize their command, and so that they have one voice, and that is, if that is not done soon, as much as all this bickering is going on, yeah, Prince Johnson saying these things, you see, yeah, the chairman of the party going on a protest to the standard bearer for president elect. He has to be very stern right now. Whoever is in power, whoever is running the show, they need to be very stern and silence the naysayers now before it gets too late. That's all I gotta say. But all these things are expected because it was just a group of guys, no ideology. Just all they wanted to do is replace President Weah at all means. And now they got what they were looking for.
Mr. Morris, uh, we had. I mean, this is on charter water, because when Walker used to say, uh, go to GT Bank, I have taken loans several times, and the purpose for his loan was not for himself. He said, so when I leave this earth, my children will be well off. So now that Joseph Boakai have become president, okay, he has accomplished his goal. His children are going to be set for life. He cares less about anybody else, because now, like the American military said, mission accomplished.
Look, Mr. Gaiman, let me say this. The thing that bothers me the most is the blatant disrespect that is being meted out against, Dr. Luther Tappet. Perhaps I'm a little bit biased because I patronize his school, Best Brain in Tinker Village. But I think this guy was one of the catalysts of Joseph Boakai ascension to the presidency, because you remember the likes of Ami Moda and Mo Ali. That whole tobacco that happened debacle that happened in Lofa County, where the poll watchers were not paid, the money was not being accounted for. The guy left Lofa County before the election and came out to Morovia. Say he was sweating or something, maybe he had some kind of medical condition, he had to leave and come back to the city or something like that. And after they lost those elections, they went and had a change of leadership, and they brought in Luther Tappet, who, with his respectability, his connections, was able to, get Jeremiah Kuhn to become their vice standard bearer, did some things, put together a coalition, was very instrumental in Joseph Boakai winning, the presidency. And he is now giving all of the lucrative position to the lieutenants of Luther Tappet, while he is still looking, up at Joseph Boakai and not getting anything. And then you can imagine the frustration, people coming to you as the chairman of the party, especially, and I don't want to put this in there, but it's a sentiment that has to be, echoed. This is a quote unquote crew man who was in the Unity Party when his people is on one side of it. And even when you heard that interview, the people say, yeah, we risk a lot of things to support yourself, but we can't even go back home. And yet, and still, their leader is not being given, the due respect. You have somebody like Amos Twe being at a lucrative position like FPRC, and Luther Tappet, who is the brain of the operation, is not given any kind of position yet. I think for me, that's disloyalty, and that's just being unappreciative of the kind of work that he put in. The next thing, like you're talking about, Joseph Boakai setting up his family for life. I've said this thing many times, and people say, "Oh, you're being disrespectful. You can talk there. You don't talk with respect and all the other things." This is politics. I speak my mind, and I mean what I say, and because I know there's data behind it to back it. Joseph Boakai put his nephew at Nokar, Jake Kabakolo, put that guy at Nokar. Joseph Boakai is only emulating Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, and I can guarantee you anything that guy does at Nokar that is untoward, Joseph Boakai would say he takes responsibility of it. Just how Ellen Johnson said she took responsibility for Robert Sirleaf at Nokar when he bankrupted that company. Joseph Boakai said he's not going to be a nepotistic president. That's your blood relative. We're even hearing the minister nominated for internal affairs, Francis Yumalin, is a second cousin to Joseph Boakai, another extended family member to Joseph Boakai. That's nepotism in another form. So for me, when I say these things, I know who Joseph Boakai is. He's a man who is going to be even more corrupt than George Weah, but is going to keep his hands clean by having his family members and his lieutenants do all of the dirty dealings for him. People say, "Oh, we don't want to watch that show because you're all against Joseph Boakai." Look, I know who this man is, and we're now seeing, from the actions of the people around him, who he's going to be as our president. And lastly, before I turn over to you, Mr. Gaiman, Prince Johnson, I agree with him 100%. I said this on another platform during the week, and people say, "Oh, you're in favor of Prince Johnson. You're not in favor of the war crime code." No, Joseph Boakai knew what he was doing when he got involved with Prince Johnson. Prince Johnson got one position, and that's a very key position. Who is the position? What position is that? Ministry of Defense. You remember after the election, Prince Johnson was praising Prince C. Johnson, at the time the chief of staff of the army, for quote unquote not going against the people of Nima because he's a loyal son of Nima. was playing the tribal or the county in the card. Like this guy listened to him and he didn't go and send people to watch the election in Nimba because he's a loyal son of Nimba, and as such he will be rewarded. And Joseph Boakai elevated him to the Minister of Defense, at least had nominated him to that position, and sent away George Weah, Minister of Defense. I think his name is Daniel Ziankan, sent him out of the country as an ambassador. So there's a lot of things that's moving around, and Prince Johnson is well positioned to get all of the key sensitive information in case of anybody trying to arrest him. He can act on it. That's why you see he's making those threats because he knows what he's depending on. I'll leave it there for now, but when we look at this bigger picture, there's disasters in store for Liberia, especially when it comes to the likes of Prince Johnson.
Great, Mr. Gay. I know you were ready to rumble, so it's time for you to rumble. Let's look at this. My own friend, I call him brother, somebody that I know in cyberspace is a wallow, keep pressing this thing about qualification. But when you look at qualification, the people who Joseph Walker used as a front, they say I got qualified people, person like John Molu, Maurice Croman, Mr. Mame, Mr. Appleton, the Arco folks, John Balu was all over the place, Milton Tiege was all over the place. I mean, you name it. They got people all over the place that are well qualified to do this job. Instead, they brought an alternative quality people and say these people are qualified, even though they were not part of it. But when you look at this, they come from the old order.
The reason why the likes of John Molu could not work for the Barker administration is because he will speak out and tell people that you're doing things wrong. He saw it from the get-go from the transitional team, and he started speaking out. The likes of Stephen Johnson, a young, brilliant young man, having experience working at the finance ministry before. Why Stephen Johnson is not giving you a job? Why Mo Ali is not giving you a job? I mean, these people are not just ordinary supporters of Joseph Walker. They are competent individuals, right? They are competent individuals. Professor, not Professor Wilson Tappet, but what's his name? The chairman,
Luther Tappet.
Luther Tappet.
He is a qualified individual. Come on, let's call a spade a spade. He's qualified, right? So why are we sitting here acting as though we just want to bash on Joseph Boakai? But like I stated from the get-go, that Joseph Boakai told us who he was going to be and continue to. He's very consistent, and I like how he's operating is very consistent. Joseph Boakai started putting people away as soon as he get what he wants from you aside. The United Party were nowhere after 2017 electoral cycle. But when the CPP were funded, it resuscitated the United Party. And today, when they came, they didn't say anything. They just relaxed and said, you know what, we're not going to make any demands. We'll just sit and wait until the opportunity presents itself. That opportunity presented itself without the re-election of the Senate seat in Boston County, with 5 other senators that brought the janitors and the board charts into office, and the re-election of Senator Kanga Lawrence. So let's face the fact. Once he saw that, you were like, you know what? I don't need to go to no convention. I can be on my own because hey, I have people who will support me, and walk away from it. He was the leader of the CPP and walk away from the CPP because all he wanted was to get to a position and walk. The Henry Costa then, who did everything they did when he saw that hey, it is an opportunity for me to walk. I don't need Henry Costa anymore. But here's the Costa man that will take him places. As soon as he got to where he needed to get, Henry Costa was no more needed. So this man is clearly on a mission. And that mission is to do whatever you want to do to get to where you need to get, and that's it. He told us that he would dance with the devil. Why are we surprised? So we can say whatever we want to say. Joseph Boakai is the master. It's the captain of the ship. He is directing, and you understand he's the pilot. He's not the co-pilot. He is the pilot. He decides when the plane lands, and that's the reason why we are seeing what we are seeing. Do not underestimate this man. This man knows exactly. He may be old, but he knows exactly what he wants, how he wants it, and that's the reason why he's doing what he's doing.
Mr. Tower, very profound statement there. by Mr. Gay, it seems, and rightfully so, when we look at Joseph Boakar's resume of how he disposed of everybody that he didn't need anymore, he has a long history, long resume of disposing folks when he gets his aim accomplished, when he was broke and dying. Mr. Ure, for 6 years, 5 of those 6 years was his walking stick on a private jet, going from country to country, doing everything he can. Wherever he was, Ure was there. In fact, not only Ure, but his daughters, including Tali Ure, out of these folks. When he needed Nyobli Kanga, he promised Nyobli Kanga to make her vice president, and Nyobli Kanga had number 8 or number 9 on her back, had number 6 on the midfielder. She was a midfielder, and he was a striker. And all over the place in Grand Bassa County, we had all this. She was promised. Everybody said she was going to be. When time came, he disposed of her, just like he did Ure. And then when they needed him for Nyobli Kanga's election and Dara Dida election, when they needed to find out, they went and grabbed the CPP, Mr. Comey, used his money, used his influence. When they got what they wanted to get, they disposed of him. And then they went to Costa, say he had a bigger microphone in the country and abroad. They used it to basically resuscitate his dying political career to the point where he was raising money. In conjunction with this, when time came, he got rid of him as well. So this shouldn't be strange to anybody. That smart people that I was afraid of when these guys come in. CDC may not have any chance because these young folks are bright. They will be competitive. I'm talking about the Maurice Cromans of the world. I'm talking about the Mame, John Molu, all these guys. When they come back and put something in place, it would be very difficult for CDC to make a comeback. Instead, the people that CDC defeated, he brought them back, Mr. Tao.
Yeah. Okay. Give me thanks for getting back to me on this. But look, first, I just want to point something out because I don't want to over exaggerate stuff here. When we talk about Prince Johnson dancing with the devil, Prince Johnson, if Prince Johnson is the devil, Boakai is not the first person that started dancing with him. Ellen danced with him twice. George Weah danced with him, and so and then Boakai is dancing with him, and what we are seeing here is that isn't this the democratic maneuvering that is happening when it comes to this? The person that have a political influence that is able to get you vote, that is able to make you to win. It happened here because I usually don't make reference to the U.S. much, but if we want to look, I've been here for a little over 25 years, and it happened here. It happened here, and it happened there. But so I don't want for us to overemphasize this stuff that Prince Johnson have all this power and all of this stuff. When it comes to Costa and also disposing of people, I don't know if I want to really look at it that way, because if we're looking at the comments, okay, these people came together on an umbrella for them to remove a popular president, George Weah, right? And then what happened in that process? At that time that they came together, they only had that one goal. They didn't make the decision yet to say who's going to lead this unity that they formed, right? It was in the midst of them trying to choose. Everybody wanted to be president. This is where they fell. So if Ure brought his private jet and he flew Boakai around, if Cummings brought his money, they were doing that in that time. But when they could not agree to say who's going to lead this unity, everybody wanted to be their own president. That is where they had to go their separate ways because everybody felt that they could do it. So in that light, they lost. It's just that. Okay. I don't know much about Costa, but from some of the things I read on Front Page and other places and in other forums, is that Costa felt that he was qualified to be the vice presidential candidate. Come on. When I mean qualified, we're not talking about even credential in terms of education or anything. But come on, I was in Monrovia in 2017 when Costa couldn't even win in Elm Snow, former district where he came in and he couldn't even get enough votes. People that I knew, my cousin that barely did anything, came second and beat Costa them out. So let him go out there, let him leave from the propaganda wing, and let him try to actually establish himself to do something. But so that's what I would say on that. But the point about appointments, I think I would not be too much caught up onto this appointment stuff because this administration just started. Everybody cannot get in the yes. We can say maybe this other person here, they were too much at the front. It just started. They have 6 years. They can put everybody in there. They form alliances. Dr. Tapper and all these people didn't know that there were alliances that other people came in. So maybe they're trying to first take care of these alliances to see if their own people can cut it. And if they don't cut it, they still have time. I don't think that, for me, the way I see it is the people that they're hiring, the people that Waka is putting in this position, or whoever running things, are they capable of producing some kind of results? Can they help? Can they move Liberia forward? Can they make any kind of impact? For me, that is how I would look at it. And if those people can make an impact, Dr. Tapper is the chairman of the ruling party. John, how you call this guy? The one for the chairman for the ruling party for the youth for CDC. What was his name? I forgot his name. Molo did not get. He got that position. That's a powerful position. He was very happy, and he operated in that place. You don't have to go to this. When we mention places like LPRC, a lucrative position, which is the way in which we have seen it, or finance lucrative position. Guess what? Then it means we ourselves will actually understand how corrupt our system is. Because if an appointed position to serve the people can be seen as lucrative, that people can start fighting over it. So then we should actually stay away from who they nominated versus who they're putting in those positions, if they're even capable of doing something to produce something. For me, that would be the area that I'm going to focus on. But I think it's too early about who get where. Let them get there, and they have 6 years, and let's see how it will play out. But for right now, things are not working well. Mr. Gaiman, you are our chairman on here, and you made this statement many times that Boaka said that he came to power based on experience, based on they knowing how to do things. Right now, things are all over the place. And for people who are UP people, they blame WEA many times, and I criticize WEA myself for when things are going wrong or when things are happening, he would just keep quiet. And they say Boaka was going to be different. A lot is happening now that is going to decide and set the stage for this government, and the president is nowhere to be heard from. Nothing has been said. He's quiet. This is not good. It's very dangerous.
Great. Mr. Morris, here we are. We want to look at, in politics or in business, there's a law against what they call bait and switch. I think Mr. Tawo know that if you go and you advertise that you are selling 100% beef, and the folks come, you are advertising 100% beef in your store, and people who want to buy 100% beef come and buy their food and take it home and find out it was a mixture of beef and pork or beef and chicken. That is against the law. In politics or in soccer, they tell you to send in your registered players. You send in your players and they are on the roster. You cannot come in and bring somebody total and say, well, I found someone better. That's not how it works. Joseph Boakai sold to the Liberian people somebody names that actually made some of you to be wary and say, okay, this is a formidable team, a group of new people, new ideas. Because Costa himself said it. He said Joseph Boakai is a man of no new idea.
Mr. Gaiman, let me say this. I feel sorry for the people in the diaspora. We saw the likes of Eugene Fagon, the likes of like Professor Isaac Zawolo, a lot of other people who came from here and serving George Weah's government. So most of these guys thought Joseph Boyka would be in that same vein that he would call people from the diaspora to go and serve in his government. They were agitating for him. They advocated for him. They raised funds for him, and now they're being left out. I don't know any of the names that came directly from the diaspora. Perhaps I'm mistaken, but so far I don't think he's appointed anybody to a high profile position that came directly from the diaspora. I think maybe Boyma Kamara had been living in the United States. I'm not sure, but like Mr. Ty will say, wants to give Joseph Boyka some leeway. That's fine. For me, like I said, I'm in opposition to this government. So whatever blunder they make is in favor of the CDC and the opposition. So I'm not here to tell him how to make a cabinet that's going to be effective. If his wisdom and his years of experience tells him that he should bring in these people, no problem. Let's see how they how they perform. But for me, my biggest thing is the Prince Johnson factor, as Mr. Taiwo was trying to allude to. Prince Johnson not having any power. Prince Johnson, all he has to say is that Joseph Boyka is against the people of Nima, and the people of Nima is going to follow suit like they did with George Weah. It's against their interests. They're the one that elected him after all. They're the one that made him get the presidency, and now he's not giving them any position, just like George Weah did it. And now it's going to be a split in the government. So Joseph Boyka knew what he was doing, and he knew some of the repercussions that would be taken had he gone against some of the promises that he made. People are even saying now that Joseph Boyka said he didn't sign a contract with anybody, which is a fact. The quote unquote alliance was never, immortalized through a contract or some kind of formal agreement. It was just a hodgepodge, like Mr. Gaiman said, agreement of different political interests coming together to form a quote unquote alliance. So the reality is Joseph Boyka owes nothing to the NBR in terms of any kind of deliverable positions that they can take. Owes nothing to Alcop, owes nothing to Apatow. That's why they can't come up and say, "Oh, we agree upon this, and you didn't do this." CDC had a whole new coalition. They changed their name from Congress to coalition. So it's not the same with Joseph Boyka. He played these guys like a fiddle. Now they're seeing the real writing on the wall, and they know that they've been had. So the alcohol who went and gave a 3,000 votes to Joseph Boyka, the applicant who went there, thinking that giving this man your endorsement will guarantee you some kind of position. Maybe they'll get deputy position, deputy director, whatever, but they're not going to get the position that they desire. So for me, Joseph Boyka hypocrisy is the one that's getting under my skin the most. How can you appoint your nephew, somebody who has been accused of being your bag man, going to people for money, begging people for money, asking people for favors on your behalf, and you put him at such a sensitive position in the crowd, and nobody is saying anything about it. Nobody is saying anything about it. You nominate Francis Yumalin, who are bragging on tape about killing people in Lofa, quote unquote defending Lofa County. A close relative of yours, appoint him to another sensitive position. Nobody is saying anything about it. Joseph Boyka is a politician. It's like monkey see, monkey do. He's only trying to copy what Ellen Johnson Sirleaf did and bring it into his presidency. And we know what happened after Ellen Johnson left. He lost to George Weah by 64%. So we know how disastrous, from the early signs of it, this is going to be. I know Mr. Jai had a show last week, and it was really tough on the government. It was surprising to many people. And I'm sure he probably got a lot of calls from people saying, "Oh, why are you being so hard on the government? This and that, this and that." But the reality is, people who were naive and gullible to believe in Joseph Boyka are now trying to see, starting to see his true colors. And they realize it's going to be more of the same. And he's going to try to emulate Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, but it's not even going to be as close to what she accomplished. So for me, I like what's going on. I'm just sitting back, watching it and enjoying it. That's all I can say for now.
Mr. Gay, talk to me about why this nomination is going this way when you are dealing with so-called qualified, educated folks like me. I have a binder here in my office. It has about maybe 50 people that I have interviewed, I've never hired, but they're on the waiting list. If anything happens, I can just go through this and just make calls. If I need IT people, I got about 10 or 20 here. If I need electrician, I need bus driver, I have them here. So
Mr. Gavin, don't
yes,
be like Mitt Romney who said you had a binder for the windmill. Don't have a binder for
that's correct. You know,
the.
I'm from that era. So here we are. When Joseph Boyka said he had a team, when you and I know, when you look at the folks of John Molu and all the young folks, okay, smart, proven, talented. Some of these folks, you have to agree, they are some of the best in their own generation, okay, and based on that, as someone like you who said, listen, if he wins, we gotta give him a chance. But we said from the beginning, based on their experience and their technical know-how, these guys do not need time to warm up. They will hit the ground running. Now here we are. They have hired Jimmy Eastman to tell us, my man gave the people little chance. Give them little chance. In fact, we got an email, a damaging email, a complaint where Mr. Eastman, the last week, I posted it. They said that FOL, Mr. Gaiman and his crew have turned FOL into anti-United Party, anti-boycott. They send it to Dennis Jar. I mean, they're being ready. They are saying they should cancel us because we are anti-Joseph Boycott, anti the establishment. Can you imagine? So now you talk to me, Mr. Gay. You were here. You are a technician. You are an expert in your field. You have all your comrades, your competitors on there say they're going home and they will do this, they will do it. And we all agree that, well, Liberia finally going to become a competitive place. Only to find out that they use you guys as a front and those paper then that came from way back 1971, they back.
I tell you. But let me say this, right? Evans' point, right? The nepotism thing, just forget it. He said you're going to declare asset before he takes office. He didn't do that. So nepotism, I was expecting that because again, he's playing from the playbook of Ellen. But here is the irony, right? Joseph Juma Boakai ran on the mantra that he been in government too long. In fact, he was sitting right next to the president when she was making decisions. Most of the decisions that were made, she consulted him before the decision was taken and all of the different things. So he's not coming to try on the job. He already understands the job. An inauguration comes and you don't have water. You don't have a napkin. You don't have nothing structured. You were appointing people. Here's the reason why things are flapping the way they are flapping, because those that are supposed to have done the job got swapped overnight. So the people that are there now playing catch up. That's why the nomination process is going very slow, because now they have to swap names. They have to change course. They have to do things differently than the official thing that they are already playing. All these young folks, even Steven Johnson, right? These guys are shocked because they were in the know from the beginning. When the transitional team started, Steven Johnson, they understood what was going on. But 2 weeks to the inaugural program, everything's changed. And they themselves have decided wondering, oh, we don't even have guest lists and other different things. You know what? Because they start flipping things around. So the nomination process will be very slow. And the government will not hit the ground running. They will have a lot of hiccups because they're doing a last minute changes around. That's what happened. When you plan in advance, look, whoever thought that a man who worked in government over 40 years would not be able to formulate a cabinet within 2 months period? I mean, you have 2 months after the election to formulate your cabinet. If it's taking you that long, then something wrong down the line. The likes of the John Molu no longer in the picture. The Amara Conan are moving things around, no longer in the picture. They're telling, hey, man, stay in the Senate, don't come here, stay in the Senate, don't come here, right? So you don't have individuals who understand how to identify talent, process the talent, and get them to what they need to get. So that's the reason why it's going to take a long, long time for them to fill out 17 ministerial seats and other autonomous agencies, right? That is the problem that they're faced with. Because if you do things at the last minute, then everything is chaotic.
Okay, Mr. Gay, let me cut you real quick here, and so then if what you think is behind the decision to take some people out of the picture and bring in? How do people get into the picture when they were no longer, when they were not even somewhere? And how do you take people who were in the photo? How do you Photoshop them out of there?
No, the reality is these people have always been there. They just been in the background, as Mr. Todd
Right.
was said. They were the one financing it. And
Thank
now
thank you.
they're getting their dues.
Yeah,
Mr.
Barry.
Gay, go ahead,
Thank you.
man.
And that is exactly what I was gonna say. Right. These people are already there. But here's the thing. There's a sad thing. All these things happening. President Bwaka is not surprised. He's fully aware of them. In fact, he's the one permitting these things to happen. If it was not part of his thinking or his will, he would allow them. They said, no, 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 no. This is what gonna. What did the executive branch put out a statement to say? Oh, Madam Bezolo gonna go through the public disease. That is his interest, right? But they didn't put out a statement to say, oh, Joseph Imam Baka will stay higher, he's coming down. But they clearly put out a statement to say, oh, yes, indeed, they're not going to recall Madame Beslo. And I hope that this woman also get confirmed. I hope we discuss that topic also as well today. So,
She's not going to get confirmed.
Basically, that's the reason why things are happening the way they happen. It is the true nature of President Bouaka. That's why people are saying, this is the man, this is who he is.
Great. Mr. Eastman, here we are. I see a legendary name port from way back, and supporting the old regime. Oh, listen, young man, Mr. Eastman, you're too young. When you talk to people like Sakma Myers, you talk about Sekou Gomez, you talk about all these great soccer players, and you talk to them, they say, why you play for IE? They will tell you, listen, we all grew up in Barrow. We go to Barrow Playground. We go there to tell you, oh, my man, you're too young. Wait for your turn. So then we left and went across the street to IE, and they were open arms. They let us in, and we built a great organization. And Mabu Riches and all these guys, they were great talent searchers. And they brought these people in, and that's it. Here we are. There's a segment of our society that says we should set the rule aside. The rule that says the law that says worker or anybody nominated has to declare the assets before they get into office. And he went on VOA and pledged that everybody he brings along will be people of integrity. He will declare his asset and publish it before he takes over. Now people are saying you are asking for too much too soon. Mr. Eastman, talk to me.
Yes. I do believe that Liberians expect a whole lot. I think, in the words of Amara Kone, he was already alerting people that they should manage their expectations. I think there are a few things that going on that we don't understand. But I don't want to be one that jumps the gun. You see, when you want to get somebody build a case against somebody or for somebody, you give them sufficient time to provide enough evidence. I think the evidence so far is minimal. Yes, we have not seen certain names called for nominations yet, but there's still some time to go. Yes, we have not seen the declaration of assets as was promised, but we're still within the 30-day period.
No,
Yes,
Mr. No. Mr. Eastman, what you mean 30 days? The law said before. So what's the 30 days? what is
there-
the 30 days? Tell me.
there's an allowance that they give, but let's not go to that detail. The idea is you give people enough chance to show who they are. Let's not jump the gun. Um, Mr. Barker has a lot on his plate. As you see what is brewing with Prince Johnson, there is a lot going on right now. For us to really digest and analyze what is going on, We need to give it a little bit of chance and let the pieces fall together. And after about in the first 3 months, we'll know where this administration will be doing, because by that time they would have known who is where. They would have formulated some certain strategies. They would have announced a few steps. But right now, it's just all I'm saying. It's just early in the game to tell exactly, how the king is dressed. Whether the king is naked or y'all don't get him a chance. Let us see him show his hand. Then we can make a conclusion.
Okay, Mr. Eastman. Mr.
Yeah.
Eastman, real quick.
Yeah.
If there's I'm in Florida, so we're used to disaster like hurricane. Okay, the hurricane just came and the whole of South Beach is flooded and people are drowning, and they call the rescue team. And the rescue team come and look around and say, okay, just like Liberia water people, fire service in Liberia, they come and look at the house burning, then they go and say, we're going to get water and come back. When they come back, the house has burned. So you, the rescuer now, you came, and now you're telling me you need time to go get your rescue material and all that. Mr. Eastman, come on now.
Yes, this is an excellent idea you gave just now. They say they're going to rescue you from why they say they were looting the country. They were. He said he was going to go after all the people, people who've been taking money from the government. We seen that? We have not seen that. Does he have enough chance to do it? No, you got to build.
No, listen, Mr. Eastman. When the American man said, when you eat a hole, stop digging. The man said when he gets elected, his first executive order would be to order the administration and asset recovery, and people were cheering. So, how many executive orders has he proclaimed?
Well, Mr. Gamer, I want to ask you something. The old people used to say something a long time ago. Say when you hear Doodle Boy talking Megan, you know what I mean? It means when you hear your politician telling you, giving you all kind of nice list song and dance, don't mind it though. Because the next minute they will be speaking a different language, you will not even understand it. All these things are part of politics. But there are the more challenging things ahead of us. And this is what I want us to be prepared for. I don't want us to be too anxious because there are some very, very challenging things ahead. They got budgets to meet. They got salaries to meet. It hasn't even started. His own chairman is demonstrating a protest. What will happen when the government workforce goes start protesting against him? As you saw, there was a series of protests in we as administration. And smartly enough, we have found a way to handle it the best way he can. And still they condemn it. He has to face all these challenges ahead of him. Wait small. They don't see the real game start yet.
Okay.
Give it a little bit chance.
Okay. Mr. Tom, Mr. Gonglo, welcome. I know your uncle Joseph Werger have one. I know you're gonna tell me here. You're gonna wait small, get him a chance, let him see where he can be. But now in the CDC time, the first day the CDC came in, they have protests all over the place. Welcome, Mr. Gonglo.
Thank you. I'm sorry for joining you guys late.
It's all right. It's all right. Now we are talking about in the midst of it all. From the beginning, Joseph Boykai said jobs, the economy. In fact, the commodity prices will go down. They will create jobs for young folks. All of those things, and people were clapping. I think I gotta give it to you too, as a statistician and as a man who understands the number, how government works. You were warning folks here that these things don't work this way. Now the election is over. Those that brought this government to power are no longer seen or heard. The John Malus of the world, the Maurice Kroma, the John Balu, the Appletons, the Arco, the Martin, how do you call it? Martin Colley, aka Rescue Rambo. Other districts are nowhere to be found. What is going on here, Mr. Calabo?
Well, first, here's what I was saying. I think you predicted rightly so. I will give President Bouaka, for now, I will give him, in fairness, the leeway on job creation, the economy, and all those issues. Because at this point, we are still in weird economy.
Yeah.
We are still in weird economy. We're not seeing any policy measure from President Bouaka as yet, targeting the economy, targeting other sectors of the economy. So we are not seeing that yet.
The man said he would take drug tests.
Yeah, no, you see, so for me, that's a bad policy. You know, I saw some senators and representatives, I understand they were going there to take tests. How can a nation, group of people be so stupid? You know, I will not take such a test. What does taking a drug test, what does it do with the fact that illicit drugs are entering our borders, the fact that illicit drugs are being manufactured within the country, the fact that we don't have any rehabilitation programs? What does it do with it? You take the test and so what? I test positive. So I'm elected. You go and say, okay, we're going to remove you now as elected official. No, there's no constitutional provision on that. So that's a bogus policy. Okay, if I were elected official, I would refuse.
Mr. Gonglo, it's a veiled jab at President Weah because they say President Weah was smoking opinion in Jamaica Resort. So they're trying to say they're not like him.
If I were even a presidential appointee, I would not take it. I mean, if that would cause me to be fired, I would not take it. Because I don't see it is a policy without substance. You know, it's a bad publicity PR for him. I would say so. So we are in weird economy. If I were an advisor to President Bouaka during the election and for the 6 years, there were economic policies that the government, the opposition criticized we are for. On day one, President Bouaka will go to whatever the executive mansion is. He said right there and do some of the policy that Joe Biden did on day one after inauguration. The same day he took office, he went to the White House and started to undo some Trump policy. That's what he needed to do, to assure business community who were crying maybe on that tracking fee at the port, which was causing or increasing the port user fee at the port, even at the custom, there are custom user fee that people, importers pay to RA. All these things are bad policy. Go there on do a job with a stroke of pen the first day. But we've been here, I believe we're going to 10 days now. All we are policies are staying tight. People are still implementing we are policy. That's not good. I don't know what IAFASO is doing. We should move to undo some of the policies they campaign against. If you don't undo this policy immediately, then that was politics. Then what you are doing was politics.
But he got to put the people in place, Mr. Gongo. They got to put the people there, appoint the people first before he can start changing the policy.
No, not executive order.
There are some clear things that you can go and undo them by executive. Say, for example, the tracking fee at the port that exporters and importers cried about. That was not anything you need to have. That's something that President Bouaka can do just by a mere press statement that immediately, effective immediately, the tracking contract is gone. You can do that.
I don't know, Mr. Gongler. There might be some legal implications with that, and people could challenge it.
An executive order can undo that.
Mr. Murray, they're not talking about the contract with ATM. They're talking about the one that the government added on.
ATM is a concession. In fact, it was United Party government that brought ATM.
Yep, that brought ATM.
So ATM is a concession. The
ATM terminal.
President Bouaga actually ratified the ATM concession, right? So that's one. The other thing I'll pick on that is, on the appointment, I hear so much noise about the appointment here. I don't think people should cry much. I remember in 2006, it took some time for President Salif to actually fold the fund for government, more than a month. I think Kofi was sure he was among the first nomination announced, but name his deputies, they were in February. Like this month, it was in February. It started naming deputy assistant. So it took, in fact, some ministries where without assistant ministers largely until March. Okay, because political appointments are accommodating political. It's a form of political accommodation. It's a process. It takes time. So I will say I will give it to him. And lastly, before I take, I give the floor. I listened to Senator Johnson today, and I wanted to give the caveat because some in the opposition are jumping to Prince Johnson is now talking against Bouaga. This that. Prince Johnson is a master of political cartourism in Liberia. Why he's doing, he has taken more money from people and promised to give them job. Look, on record, statistically, Bouaga gave more job to Nima people compared to Grand Basso, compared to Grand Gide, compared to Maryland. They are Liberians. If you start to count them, there are about 10 persons, including those that we are put in, like one person on the Supreme Court bench. If you count all those people from Nima who are in senior government official, including President Bouaga, and we are combined together, a minute. Okay? So Prince Johnson is making that noise because he's taking money from people and he wants to use this noise as an alibi that our fighting for Bouaga suppress us. That's what he's doing. That's how I see it.
Great. Mr. Taiwo, you got next. Let's take a stab at this. Mr. Amara Conan, after this election, he was one of those who would say manage your expectations.
Somebody please turn that radio down.
Gentlemen, please mute while we are doing. Amara Conan said everybody should manage their expectations. Then, on the other hand, he gave a hint. He gave this dump truck kind of analogy. Dump truck, which is the dump truck build a mansion, but they're not allowed to drive by the mansion. And these were all anecdotes, jobs here and there that people that I kept saying to the folks, listen to what these folks are saying. When they say dump trucks, we know what that means in Liberia. Mr. Taiwo, here we are. Mr. Amara Conan was telling people to manage their own expectations. Now he's complaining that Joseph Bouaga's administration does not have Muslims because he's a Muslim. He said there's only one Muslim appointed. Isn't this what we've been trying to get away from? We are a secular nation, that we are not based on tribalism and religious affiliation. He is now saying Joseph Bouaga has appointed only one Muslim. Mr. Taiwo, this is dangerous. This administration is this is dangerous.
Yeah, when it comes to the tribal stuff, we have to be a bit careful how we speak on that because some things can go out of hand very quickly. But Amara, I know his name was mentioned here earlier. That guys like Amara, where are they? Amara shouldn't even be mentioned in this stuff. He's a senator. He was elected, and I don't know his affiliation that much in Liberia, but on a couple of these shows and up to the election during and after, when the results were being announced, I watched your show and I watched other shows, and they mentioned that he was not even part of a member of the UP. So it's like he came into the country much later, and then he joined the rescue team. But he's a senator. So when they say the leaving out people, he shouldn't even be mentioned. But when we come to the tribal stuff, we have to be careful with this because This thing right here, it can be used both internally and externally to be able to create problems for us. I know that this is the same noise that it made behind where that everybody that is in government from the Southeast. My concern at that time was it's not whether they're from the Southeast, but are they able to make an impact to move the country forward? And that was my question that I continue to ask. So if a Mandingo person is appointed, even that one person, are they capable of making some impact in the government and to move the country forward? Because guys, look at what happened. I know we are all here. We may be opposition to or to the former government or to this government. But I hope it is not our hope that things go wrong for this government or for any other government just because we say we are in opposition. No. If we do this, then we miss the point. Because I know that we all come here, take time off of our busy schedule every Sunday and every Saturday and any other days, trying to discuss these things so that we hope that the government do well. Because if this government do well, it is good for all of us, rather than for us to hope that the government fail or they make mistakes. We only point these things out as a way of creating pressure on the government to want to change course. But so that is what I would say on that. But I want to make a point here. When we come to all these politicians or presidents or new saying that they're going to create jobs and they're going to create some developmental programs, you know that if they never really tell you how they're going to do these things. They never. I was in Liberia in 2017 when they were having all the debates. I even listened to Ellen Johnson Sirleaf in 2005, and so when they had these discussion, debates, and all of this stuff, they throw these things around, but they never tell you how they're going to do it. And anytime you really talk to somebody, because this point is very important, I want for us to pay attention to this. It is about a widening domestic revenue base. What does that mean? It means to come in and harass the people that you provide nothing for, that you give no jobs to, that you don't create an environment in which they can really function for them to live. You want to come there and tax them. This can lead to instability. This leads to too much hardship, so that then when something is wrong, these people can be influenced much easier. What the government is supposed to be concerned with. Governments really don't create jobs, not even here in the US. That is not the government primary goal. So when you hear, then even in the US, if they say that, they're lying. I follow it here. Governments create the condition, the environment in which people that are investors and businesses can come, and then they create, they function in that atmosphere. So like in our country, the atmosphere is not good. Mr. Gayman or anybody that's sitting on here, if you know that if you try to go to Liberia now for you to establish anything, the environment is very tough. It's not friendly to investors or even whether local or foreign. So when these people are going to tell you that they're going to create jobs and they're going to do this, let them tell you how they're going to do that. They really can't tell you. So I think, but when it comes to the travel stuff, this is dangerous. We don't want to go that route because we went through this. It was through this that we were able to go through all this war and everything else coming out of it. We don't want to go into that. If there is a Mandingo person that's qualified, that is able to make an impact, then let them be appointed. There is nothing. We are not Nigeria where they say something should reflect national character, because in Nigeria they have that if you have your government, you have to employ people equally from each tribe and each region, that have them to be all messed up and like that. We don't want to function that way. If we have 10 crewmen that are able to do good in the country and they're there, what happens if they move the country forward and they actually make an impact? With the development or their contribution be considered non-essential, it's not necessary because they're crew or because they're agreeable or because they're crime? No, I think we come to this point because the people that are being appointed when they come in there, probably they're not qualified or they're really not working for the people. I think that's where we continue to have this problem. And I hope we can get away from that.
Mr. Morris, we're doing percentages here, and we are talking about Amara Corner injecting religion or religion into our politics. That he says here, there's only one Muslim person have been appointed, and Mamaka Kamara, Mamaka Ability from I think she's from Cape Mount. So now we are injecting religiosity or religion into this. Is this where we need to go? And then take another stab at this. He says the Liberian government has 18 appointed ministries. 88.2% has already been appointed. That is, 5 counties have 88% of the positions, and the rest of the county, knowing that there are only maybe 3 or 4 more remaining, that these counties will never get ministerial position, as that Joseph Walker promised that every county, all 15 counties in Liberia, will be represented at the ministerial level. And so far, with 88% of the jobs being taken, why is Joseph Walker floundering, and then his lieutenant are now basically turned into sharks, circling the wagon here?
Look, Mr. Gayman, let's be fair to the old man. That's why I was so disappointed when people were being so gullible to believe that this would be a quote unquote new day in Liberia, where Joseph Walker will formulate a cabinet made of all of the different, the 16 tribes, or some people say 17 tribes. All of them will be represented in his cabinet. It's almost impossible, to do that. And it's unfair of us to even expect him to do so. From my understanding, the people, the immediate people that that you have confidence in, those are the people that you appoint to your cabinet ministry, your cabinet position. Those are the people you see every day, people who you trust, people who you know are capable. Joseph Boyka, I don't know if he knows, every single tribe will have people from those tribes in different positions, who are qualified in different positions that he can put in different ministries. I don't think any of us know people like that in our daily lives. We may have friends who may be, diverse from different tribal lineages, but ethnic lineages, but we don't know all of the tribes. And I've friended with people from every tribe in Liberia, so it will be almost impossible. So I don't think it's fair for us to judge him in that regard. But the thing I would say is Amara Kone. Amara Kone has an ambition to be president of Liberia, and by history, coming from where he came from, I'll give you a quick synopsis. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf worked at the World Bank, became president. Alassane Ouattara worked at the World Bank, became president. Goodluck Jonathan worked at the World Bank, became president of Nigeria. A lot of these people that go to the World Bank and come back into the country and get into politics, eventually they seem to ascend to the presidency. And definitely Amara Kone is building a name for himself. And one of his biggest, drawbacks would be that, quote unquote, he's a Muslim. And maybe people think that Muslim can be president in Liberia, which I don't think is true. If you have the right qualifications and you've proven yourself and you have enough backing, you have a good shot of being president of Liberia. So I don't think he should play the Muslim card, because a man of his intellect and people have seen his ability, he's transcended that. People look at him as somebody who is capable, and people don't look at him as being a Muslim man. So for him to be making such statements and making such, expressing such sentiments for somebody of his intellect and somebody who is well respected in many, facets of our society, is below him. But for me, I think somebody pointed out in the comment section, again, sometimes we can make assumption based on names. Like Dukley, the guy at the port, we assume that he might be Muslim, or maybe he's from the Mandinka ethnic group. And then somebody says somebody from another position was also Muslim. So Joseph Boyka is not going to be, quote unquote, proportional in his appointments. It's not going to put one crown person, one Manan person, one Gribble person, one this, one that. It's almost going to be like, what Mr. Taiwo said, like the Nigerian model, where you have to have people from each region representing your government. that is to foster peace and stability and equity within the government, the governing structure of the country. But in Liberia, we know our presidents pick who they have the confidence in. Sometimes it comes from the ethnic groups. Sometimes it comes from the regional, leanings. But Joseph Boakai, I think, for the most part, has been more balanced. To be fair to him, in his appointments than President Weah was. I think at the top of President Weah's government, you have some diversity, but as you go down further, there was more of a cluster of people from the southeast. But so far, I think he's been more balanced. The one thing I'm proud on is the fact that he's appointing relatives to really sensitive and lucrative positions, and I think that's something that he promised he wasn't going to do, and he's broken that promise already.
Hey, Mr. Morris, quick. I keep hearing Jake Kabakoli and Nakal. Did he get appointed there?
Yes, and I don't think it's even something that needs to be confirmed, because I don't even think it's a ministry. He just appointed him there, and he gets the position right away. It doesn't even have to be confirmed.
They say he's in charge. He will be the executive until otherwise. Or Mr. Gonglo.
Right.
You skip over me or Mr. Gimel. Mr. Gonglo spoke point when he came out not speaking, and he
okay.
Anthony, I give it to you.
Okay, Mr. Gay. Here we are talking about who we are as a people, and Joseph Boakai is appointing folks, and then somebody is playing the religious card. We are a secular nation. We don't appoint people because they're Muslim, and this man is saying that that Joseph Boakai, he supported Joseph Boakai, and he's bothered that Muslims are not in the government, according to him.
Well, to Everett's point, I think Amar Conan did himself a disservice. I want to speak directly to him and say, retract your statement, because that statement will come and haunt you if you ever have an ambition to run for the president. I know you're preparing yourself for that position. That statement would not serve you well. You are a very competent person, a very pragmatic, and a technocrat at that level. So I will hope you will retract that statement. However, look, the cabinet position is a very intimate position to the president. It's people that he feels comfortable with, he's going to bring closer to him. If he does not feel comfortable with you, you may not be called, you may not be appointed. And also, that's unfortunately, that's it. The only place I want to disagree with Morris is, the fact that Liberia is a very small country, 15 counties. How long is it going to take to see what person from that country has this qualification? Because he said it's going to be a government of inclusion, right? Every county will be represented. That's his word. So we're holding him to his own word. That's the reason why this conversation is being held, right? And so for example, if you take Maserado County, you would know, who in that Maserado County that has this qualification of 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different ministries, right? And you can pick one person. That's what he promised. He promised government of inclusion. He promised government of the people. He promised another thing. And I'm not too sure if the press secretary is not a Muslim. I think we should stop this religious, sentiment thing. It is not good. We see countries like Nigeria, the Sierra Leone, and the rest of the countries that have almost close balance people with. The only country that avoid that is the Ivory Coast. They don't do that too much Muslim Christian thing, even though at first there was a tension, but it didn't go too far. And we got to be very careful with the religion. Religious thing is not a small thing. I mean, we're seeing Israel and Gaza right now. That's a war over 70 years and it's still going on. So we should definitely avoid. Our tribal thing, we cannot go away from it because we are a country of 16 tribes. Somebody said 17 in the comment. I don't know what the 17th tribe is.
Yeah, put it the Sapola tribe, man. Put it the tribe.
Putu or Sapo? But Sapo was already a tribe.
They're now recognized as a tribe.
Okay, gentlemen, that's all
right. But to my point is that let us desist from these religious stuff. Liberia is a secular nation, even though people say Liberia is a Christian nation, but constitutionally it is a secular nation. That is the reason why there's a separation of state and church, right? So we ought to, but this government will be the most scrutinized government. So the press secretary, her name Fofana, I'm not too sure if she's Muslim or not. But
They said she's Muslim.
okay, if she is Muslim, then the senator, assertion is inaccurate then, because she's a press secretary appointed and she already functioning in her role as well. So the NOCA situation, NOCA position is not a confirmation requirement position. So that was very strategic by JMB himself, trying to put a family member that would not be scrutinized for any confirmation hearing. But Liberians ought to embrace themselves. The wage bill is huge. Our circumstances is enormous, and this government will be morally scrutinized. It will be the most scrutinized government ever in the history of Liberia because of social media, because of Facebook Live and the rest of other things. So, Ellen did not have it from the beginning of the government. Facebook Live came in play about, I think, around 2016. So that was at the end of administration. So, folks, bear with us. Don't be nervous. You will be scrutinized. Your cough, your sneezing, everything will be scrutinized, and that's the reality of the digital age.
Thank
Are
you.
you back?
This will be the most unpopular show on this network, but we don't care. We'll hold the government feet to the fire.
I'm gonna go to Mr. Eastman, but Mr. Eastman, before I come to you, let me go to Mr. Gonglo. Mr. Gonglo, we have been receiving a lot of threats, and it's funny. I like this one here though. This man is looking for the regular host. We have been hosting. On point for the past 5 years, and nobody asked who I don't know who they thought was running
I
this
think
show.
Mr. Dennis Jai, the only host they know, maybe Anthony C.
Oh, okay. So for the past year, we've been hosting this show. That's how I put it. Jimmy had put it up before, but it's so funny how I got to anchor it. We from the old school, we call it anchor. You got to do it again. But Mr. Gonglo, here we are talking about competence. We are talking about who we are as a nation, as a people. You talk about the the executive order, because what these people were saying, we were here. Everybody was saying day one when Waka gets in there, he's gonna sign an executive order that everybody is gonna be audited. In fact, we take Joey at home, we take everything. The free tuition is so bad, we don't want it. The first day the executive order will cancel free tuition. The YF fee, those things were not legal. The first day the president would do the executive order and cancel all of those things. And you were right, Mr. Gonglo, those are things that are not passed by way of bill. They were executive order, they can be canceled the same day. What is holding up Joseph Boakai from these things that he considered were so bad for the economy? Why now that he is in power, can I just, with a stroke of a pen, cancel all of those bad policies?
Well, so I think I made a point. I don't need to repeat myself on this. I made that point already. But here what I will say. I just wanted to quickly comment on what is alleged that Amra Conan, the statement is alleged that he made. Because I'm looking at his Facebook link here to see if I can read it. No, but apparently I'm not seeing it. It doesn't mean he didn't make that statement. It doesn't mean he didn't make that post. It's possible that he made it, but it's just that I'm not seeing it. But I'm assuming that he made it because it came from one or two person here. So I gave you guys the pass on this. So I'm going to comment on that. But if you follow Amra Corner, the different posts he has been making about competence, making the right choices, in life and what have you, for him to make such a statement, for me, it doesn't make sense. It's like everything he appears to have been fighting for, he's training out of the window for short-end gains. He wants to promote himself as a champion of Muslim, and that's dangerous for him, because if you want to pitch himself as a champion of Muslim, then hey, I don't know how devoted a Muslim he is. It's not my place to question that, because I'm not a Muslim, so I don't know why it takes to be a committed Muslim. But if he made that statement, I think it's a mistake. It's a sad mistake he has made. He ought to take that back, or maybe go on the radio to clarify it. Because here is the reason. And I have this problem I'll backtrack a little bit. With most of my friends who are Muslim, every time you even in a little organization, whether it's a political organization or social organization, most Muslims believe that it should be split between Christian and Muslim in Liberia, not between counties or we had similar situation in 1992 at the University of Liberia when we returned in the mix of the succession of hostilities and LU open. Vavle Dolly, quickly I will come now. Vavle Dolly.
Mr. Gongo, hold on 1 minute, guys. If you're not speaking, please mute because we're getting some feedback.
Yeah, there is some feedback.
Yeah,
Vavle Dolly went to an enlarged SUP Central Committee meeting at the University Park. And Vavle Dolly said, we said, look, we used to have Central Committee selection based on counties, but we don't want it. We're going to do it now based on colleges. Vavle Dolly argued that we should have Central Committee members selected based on religion, Muslims or Christians. So we rejected it. It's exactly what Amora is saying. If you want us to split the government between Muslim and Christian, it does not make sense. And I think it's just stupid if he made that statement. I think it's just wrong, outrightly wrong. He should take it back because it's going to haunt him.
Mr. Gamer, don't forget to announce the show that coming on next.
Yes.
The flyer is in there.
Okay. Well, you announce it. You got the floor. Go ahead.
No, I see the flyer. I don't know what the show is, but I'm just relaying you the message because we got an important show coming on at 7.
Which one is that? Tell her what show is coming.
Mr. Eastman, maybe you got it in the flyer. The CEO sent it in the chat there. I think maybe you can see it. There's a flyer coming up, so we
and we need to get our audience involved today, please.
Yeah, let's take some calls. I mean, this show got to be more participatory.
Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, you got a number there. It's time you can call, and then you can address the issue. 772-940-2871. And
post it on the screen, Mr. Gamer.
Yeah, it's scrolling. Please, if you want to call,
no,
please call in.
That's the phone line. Why not put your number there?
Yeah, but my number is there also.
The number is there.
772-940-2871. The code is 791403#. You can call and participate. If you are a fan of Jimmy Eastman, you can call him directly and he will put you on as well. If you are a fan of anybody, you can also do that. The reason we do that is
using my phone.
No, the reason that we can't put all the numbers on here, but if you have Tabo's number, you wanted to call, you can call and he will just pull you on.
Yeah, so but highlight that 978 number so the people can know that it's time to call.
Yes,
Mr. Gimman.
Yes, go ahead.
Can I make a quick point?
Yeah.
Because what is his name? Mr. Morris made a point here, and it's something that I kind of wanted to mention in a couple of the shows, but I didn't get to it.
Go ahead.
Which the other panelists, both Mr. Gongla and Mr. Gay, agree with that Ellen worked at the World Bank and she became president. Ouattara in Ivory Coast worked at the World Bank and became president, and then Goodluck Jonathan. And I think that's one of our problems. It's not just that because they work at the World Bank. That's not what it is. I think Liberia in particular, that is one of our problems, right? People, when we're talking about people being qualified, right? Because I'm saying it for that lady, Miss Bessler, right? Because I asked the question, they say she's qualified. And it's like, what qualified her? Oh, she worked for the UN. I think we should let all Liberians know this, and I think this should be our hope. And this should be what we should go for. People, when we're trying to count people qualification, like the way we did it in the towns and villages in our culture, because you see, forget about all this stuff. The political setup, it is native to the people out of whose culture that particular form of government come from. Okay, so we shouldn't fool ourselves that all of a sudden there's some kind of civilized and then ours is messed up. The way in which you were selected or appointed to lead was based on your record in that area. We have people, oh, this person, they serve at the World Bank. Oh, this one here served at the UN. That one served with the Paris Club. This one worked with the International Maritime Organization. But these people have no proven record of doing anything in Liberia, of providing, most of them, not all, have no real proven record that they have actually done something. And I think this should be something that we should strongly consider based on the work that you have done. Like me, I've done nothing in Liberia in terms of leadership, in terms of government or anything. So if somebody's just going to bring me because of what I did with Chevron, Exxon, Schlumberger, some guy here, yeah, it don't mean that I might not be able to do, but if it is solely based on that because maybe of some credential that I have, this then demonstrates.
Let me just
Can I have 30 seconds, please? Mr.
yeah,
Gamer,
let me
because
respond
I gotta
quickly
push
because
back on
he
that.
mentioned me. He mentioned me,
Go
and
ahead.
there's a reason why I'm saying that. There's even more people who have served as presidents in Africa than the three that I named. And the reason I'm saying is because I'm trying to draw a correlation between the
I
World
know,
Bank.
I understand your
Right.
point,
So I'm
Morris.
not saying these people are necessarily qualified, but I'm saying that these people have been imposing, imposed on us as Africans because the World Bank is the one that we owe most of our debt to. And as such, they almost pick who our presidents would be. And that's why from the very beginning, when I saw Amarikona coming back to Liberia, I knew exactly what was going to happen. He was going to run for some, elected position, and most likely he was going to win. And the next step would be to get into the, to run for president or even vice president. Well, one of his drawbacks, as we know in the Liberian political landscape, is being a Muslim. Be it, warranted or not, Muslims are being, somewhat unfairly treated in our country. So that would be something that he's looking at. He may have all of the qualification, he may have all of the, the technical skills, but some people will not vote for him simply because he's a Muslim. And that's why you see he's echoing this very early on in this administration, and I'm sure he will be speaking on it more and more because he don't want that to be a stumbling block for him, being that he's a qualified man who should be, who should transcend his religion. So that's the point I was making. I'm not saying that people from the World Bank are not qualified. Most of
I
them are.
agree with you on that.
Yeah,
I
thank you,
understand
thank
the
you.
point. I understand the point.
Mr. Gamer, give me 30 seconds, please.
Mr. Gay, real quick, I go to Mr.
Sure.
Go ahead.
I want to respectfully disagree with Mr. Taiwo, and here is why. I will use myself. A person like me who have over 18 years in telecommunication, are you saying because I have now worked in Liberia, and if I should have an opportunity to have
No, you missed my point.
No, hold on now, hold on.
You missed. No, I did not say
But
that. I said it cannot be used as the only criteria.
But hold on.
Should be
Yeah,
considered
but can you allow me to land, sir?
Yes. No, but you misconstrued what
Let
I said.
me enjoy my moment if I may, please.
I thought it was good.
Mr. Taiwo, manage your
Yeah,
expectations.
man, how dragging me?
Manage your expectations. Go ahead.
So here is the thing, Mr. Taiwo. Leadership is leadership. It doesn't matter where that leadership was performed. Leadership is leadership. If you're a good leader in Europe today, if you are sent to Africa, you will be a good leader, and that leader with integrity. You may have challenges, but you will still lead with distinction. If you're a bad leader in Liberia, if you're brought to America, you will still exhibit that. We've seen people who came to this country, they were leader in Liberia, and they showed that bad behavior here, and we know what they are. So we should not, I understand that just working to the World Bank should not be the only criteria, but here is the narrative though. When you are a leader and spend X amount of years in that leadership role and accomplish certain level of deliverables, those things need to be accredited to you. And people will also look at you for your deliverables. However, you can also look at other things. But you must give them credit because they work in a system that is scrutinized. Unlike Liberia, it's not scrutinized, right? And so we should not just dismiss people because they work in the diaspora. Like you have expertise and you disqualify yourself and say, oh, because I work here, so I should not be given. No,
no, you missed.
You were not giving the credit that I have Because
Okay.
No,
in
so,
my field, I have
The
no
key is
objection to anybody who
relatable
works in
experience.
Liberia, in Liberia, because the
Listen.
technology I'm exposed to today is not in Liberia.
Okay.
What will be
you
your
have made a
comment?
point.
Mr.
So let me
Gongo.
come in on this.
Mr.
Mr.
Gongo.
Tao,
Mr.
Mr. Tao, I will come in defense of you. I think you didn't even make the point the way I would have loved to make. I have argued, based on my experience working in Liberia and following Liberian political activities for the past 30 years. I think the guys who have worked with international organizations are bad for Africa.
Very
In
good.
fact, they are part of the reason why Africa is poor. They have more commitment to the institution they work for, and they care more for their global and economic standing than they care
There
for.
you go.
There you go.
Well,
That's
take
the
for
key.
example, take Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. She came to Liberia. By the way, I supported her for the same wrong reason that, oh, she's a UN woman. She's going to do this. But the UN is a very corrupt organization. So that's why she was unable to fight corruption, because she came from a very corrupt culture. UN organization, you say the UN organization, Gay, Mr. Gay, you say it's also scrutinized. It's not. I know 4 UN staff working at high level that have actually sought my support, my assistance to get transcript from Liberia. Who are Liberians? Working in high level in different missions. I work on a UN mission in East Timor, and I was sitting in 1999. I was sitting down in East Timor with a Liberian who came on that mission from Europe, and they say, you submit your updated CV. I helped to prepare a CV. You know the degree why you say you got a degree? Sports management from the University of Liberia. By then, I was teaching assistant at the University of Liberia in the Department of Mathematics, and I'm just scratching my head. Sport management degree from LU, but that is the thing the guy was working on, and he worked for the UN for the next 15 years. He just retired recently from Lebanon, and he called me to say he has retired. So watch that out when you say it's the most scrutinized. And I can also go on to World Bank to also say about World Bank what I know, okay? Because
I never spoke of the UN being the most scrutinized.
social, I can tell you that there are other people who also get in the UN circle. You never saw a big man in New York here who were accused of sexual something with the World Bank. There are people who get in this global institution based on all kinds of parochial connections.
Mr. Gonglo, will you agree that Mr. Gonglo, will you agree that Silva Besla Yanti is not qualified to be our foreign minister, even though she work at the UN?
I've never said that.
No, it's a question. I'm asking that question.
I'm arguing because Mr. Gay said these international organizations are the most scrutinized. It's not.
No, I never said that either.
No. So
what I said, no, I never said that. I said in Liberia, it's not scrutinized compared to people in the diaspora working in institutions. I never mentioned the United Nations.
My disagreement on the second note is with Morris, when Morris said Muslims are unfairly treated in Liberia. Morris, I fundamentally disagree with you.
No, I said whether is right or wrong, but it's perceived that way.
Oh no, so perception is not fact. When people believe that Morris, when people perceive that Morris is a cheater, it doesn't mean you're a cheater. No, no. So let's look at the data. In fact, Liberia is the most liberal society. The way Liberians treat Muslims, in fact, Liberian Muslims are not fundamental. They are not fundamental.
Mr. Gonglo, you saying that, and a Muslim man saying that, or a Muslim woman who may have been, may have feel like they've been discriminated based on their religion, may disagree with you. I've seen it personally. People think we target them because they're Muslim, or people think we say certain things because we're trying to get at them. So people may disagree with you on that point who are Muslim.
I like to see the police data. I like to see the code record to say these are violence, perpetrated against people because of their religious belief. Show it to me.
Ladies and gentlemen,
it does not exist.
Gentlemen, we have 15 minutes to go.
We have
we have 15 minutes. We can go to the phone line.
Listen,
but no call coming in.
The number is there. They have to call.
But you didn't put the code. You didn't put the code. You didn't pin the code.
They don't need a code. They can call direct.
I think it's a personal number.
Yeah,
So if
this
you
is.
guys want to call and participate, please call the number. We want to hear
Yeah,
from
if
you.
you want to participate, please call 772-940-2871. And you don't have to go through any screening. You go directly to the line and we'll bring you on. But Mr. Eastman, while we wait for call, if anybody
Yes.
else, we got tons of comments here that we can respond to. But let's do this. When Prince Johnson was speaking, he talked about a dark day, dark cloud over the Republic of Liberia. Joseph Boakai should have known better. In addition, what does Mr. Tapper want? I know he said he wanted to go to the Port Authority. That is not there anymore. Can you kind of look at those two and see what does Prince Johnson mean when he stand in his pulpit and say he's disappointed with Joseph Boakai? Joseph Boakai should have known better, and there's a dark cloud, dark day over Liberia.
Okay, Mr. Prince Johnson is a politician, and he knows how to wheel and deal like a politician. He's been very successful in accomplishing his objectives in Liberia. He's been every candidate that he's thrown his weight behind has become successful. So we are seeing a good political maneuver in Prince Johnson, but we must also uncover the veil that has been covering Joseph Boakai. Joseph Boakai has survived 40 years of government occupancy in various administrations. Nobody, Mr. Gamer, you know, nobody can go from Talbot administration to Doe administration. Every administration he's managed to come out. It is because he knows how to politically maneuver. The thing with him is it's very surreptitious. You don't see his hand. But if you don't underestimate the political maneuvering of Joseph Boakai. So now we see two strategists going at head, Prince Johnson and Joseph Boakai.
I have to make the announcement, Mr. Gaiman.
Yes, go ahead.
It's at least maybe a permit me, yes. So at 7 o'clock, we have the scrutinization of Sarah Breslow Yanti's credential. That's going to be coming on at 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock, Central Time. So Mr. Jai and the panelists will be discussing the scrutinization of her credential. So we'll ask all of you to stay on right after our show. So watch out for that program coming on at 7 o'clock. The scrutinization of Sarah Breslow Yanti, foreign minister nominated or nominee of the Republic of Liberia. So I think that's going to be an interesting show. So I think we should look forward to it. Yes, Mr. Jad, maybe you can maybe say it better than I can.
There you go. Mr. John, tell us about this. Because, and you got to be careful, Mr. John, because you still got hope. Your superintendent job in Grand Cape, in Sacramento County.
Get between us and the people that are already complaining against him now.
Mr. John, you got to be careful. That job is almost gone. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a joke. We joke, Mr. John, because I personally had accused him of being the Joseph Boakai supporter, and since Joseph Boakai won, nobody had called his name. So we're hoping that when I go to Sano County, I'll be in the home of Mr. Dennis John. But yes, tonight at 7 o'clock here, Eastern Time, 6 o'clock Central Time, Mr. Jai is going to be hosting a few folks to be talking about the credentialization. I wanted to talk about the credentialization of Liberia. How everything in Liberia is degree. And I had a personal experience with Mr. Finley. Mr. Finley came from the university here a long time ago, and then they gave him a job at the Ministry of Finance. And he said when he got into the office, he asked for his job description and who was his mentor, and they just told him, my man, you just came from the university, you wanted a job, you got a job, go ahead and do the job. So he said for 3 years, he was just sitting behind the desk doing absolutely nothing. He had nothing to do. So here we are putting all of our eggs in one basket. Credential. Do you have a degree? Some people would spend all their lives getting double degree without spending a day in management. or experience. But anyway, that's for another show. It's coming on today at 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
So
I want to.
let's close on this, Mr. Eastman. You were
Yeah,
informed.
they've been talking about credentials, and for me, I'm an elitist when it comes to education, and I don't like to express my view because I only believe in top universities.
Of
But
course.
at the same time,
Oh, really, Mr. Eastman?
Of course.
Mr.
You
Mr.
don't
Eastman,
believe you don't believe in Star
Mr.
University?
Eastman,
What about the middle level universities?
Mr.
No,
Eastman.
Mr. Eastman, I believe you.
Yeah, like
You
elitist.
know what you're talking about.
Mr.
Let
Eastman,
me
I
defend
agree
it.
with you. I agree with you 100% because everybody want their children to go to the best school. Who would say, I don't
Okay,
want my child to go to go ahead.
but let me defend it. It is actually the student that makes the difference. I remember I went to a one top 10 university, and I went to a what they call an ordinary, maybe for profit university. And I noticed that I was doing operations management, and I noticed that the teacher hardly was teaching anything. So I said, "Well, this man is not hardly teaching anything." And the people in the class didn't care. It was for a master's program or MBA, and they didn't seem to care. And I said, "Look, I want knowledge from this place." So what I did, I shadowed one of those times. It was MIT. I shadowed the program, the MIT Operations Management program, and I bought the same textbook they were using. And I realized that the man wasn't teaching us anything, but I knew I wanted the knowledge. So I used that book and went through it. When I went to a top 10 university, that questions for in that book were there. So again, it depends on the students. When they put you in a school or you go into a school, it is up to you to determine who you will be. It's not just the school alone, but how much you are willing to learn, how much you are willing to do the research that will make you better. Okay, so the Yanti case, the Sarah Vessel Yanti, my question is not so much her academic qualifications and or whatnot. My thing is, has she been dishonest? Because that is the thing that I'm more concerned about, your integrity. But your ability, your academic qualification doesn't mean as much as your ability to do a job. I have seen engineers come into jobs because I'm in the engineering field and they don't know the job. Okay, because they were being put in positions that they didn't learn the job, they didn't learn the mechanics of the job, so they could go to work tomorrow and build a network if they had to. But that doesn't mean that they don't have an engineering degree. So when in America here, when you go for an interview, what they ask you, what can you do? They don't
Yep.
ask you all your papers, what kind of paper you got. They want to know what you can do. And so that
Especially
interview
out
for
here.
her tomorrow, it should be, if you faced with this situation in the foreign affairs, if we have sanctions against, what is your take on the sanctions? Those are the kind of questions you want to know that your foreign minister has the capability of answering and
But
delivering.
Mr. Eastman,
Listen,
what wisdom do you think Joseph Boyka showed by appointing this lady based on her past experience? I don't think she's qualified for that job based on her past experience. So
Mr.
how
Morgan,
can Boyka put her in that position to be foreign minister when she
Mr.
only worked for missions in the United Nations? She
Mr.
didn't do any
Morgan,
diplomacy. She didn't do anything of that sort.
Excellent question. All we have gathered is that she had some prior UN experience, and that she got on the rescue train and was put dead. This is all the information we got. We haven't seen her. Let's listen to the deposition tomorrow when they start asking her questions. Let's see if the senators that we elected, let's see if they know how to even evaluate credentials for a foreign minister.
Mr. Eastman, this is why in political fait accompli, the man who is chairing the foreign affairs
Dillon.
Dillon himself
How can Dylan be the one that's carrying that conversation? Oh my
listen,
God.
Like you only the people that Joseph Boyka
listen,
people in.
Dillon fabricated his own credential and we busted him and he had to withdraw it. Dillon is a fleester. We know he has no credential, he has no integrity, he has no qualification other than scamming people. And here we are, Mr. Boyka himself has no integrity. when he said, I will publish my declaration, I will declare and publish my asset, and everybody else associated before the first day I take office. That has not happened. He cannot now tell anybody to have integrity when he himself has failed the integrity test. This is why we say the fish get rotten from the head. We got 1 minute each to close. Mr. Tower, go ahead with your closing. 1 minute, please.
Yeah, okay. Thanks very much for having me here. And overall, I think we shouldn't dwell too much on these nominations or the appointments that are going on right now, on who gets what. That's the point I'm speaking from. We should critique them based on if these people are able to do something for the country. The people, if they can get into the positions to do something. The fact, because they still have 6 years. If Tappet didn't get there, he's still chairman of the party. He can come maybe 6 months from now. Somebody screw up at LPRP, and
Thank you.
So like that. But a point that Mr. Eastman just made here that I'm going to include my last 30 seconds of closing. Yes, some of the universities you go there and they're mid-level or they're lower level, and people are not serious, and some of the high levels, and you can even go to some of the high levels and they don't mean they know that. So yes, why we want to be at the top universities, they should be about the student and what they're capable of doing and their honesty. Because I will give an example quick. I went to the material engineering science department at UAB, worked with an Indian professor called Dr. Yogesh Vora. When I got there, we were considered mid-level university. I met guys from MIT. I met somebody from Georgetown. But when we got there, I found out that I was ahead of them. So they came to us and we had to discuss some stuff. And like my research that I did, which is today everybody's doing now to find alternative to diamonds other than the diamond that is in the ground, to use graphite and other stuff to actually create synthetic diamond in the lab. I worked on that. I presented that around the country, and I won awards at NASA in different areas. When I went to J Lab, I met guys from Yale and from not Oxford, but from another
Cambridge? Stanford.
No, it was
Is that Stanford in Connecticut?
Not Stanford.
Okay, guys,
But then guess what?
2 minutes.
We work in there.
Yeah, let's wrap it up quickly, please.
Everything. So it can go either way. Just depends on the student also. But to your point, the high level universities will give you a little bit more, and sometimes you don't have to know, but that name will place you.
Thank you. Mr. Gay, real quick.
Yeah, so to Mr. Eastman's point and the integrity issue, did she, was she dishonest on her credential? That for me, that's the only thing. I think Mr. Murray talked about diplomacy. Well, the position that she had was a diplomatic position in the United Nations. So yeah, there's level of diplomacy also exhibited at that level. Her passport that she traveled with the United Nations is a diplomatic passport from the United Nations. So yes, diplomacy was part of her training. That if you are at that level, you become a diplomat within the United Nations. So if that's the reason why you think she's not qualified, then reconsider that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Morris, go ahead.
Look, thank you very much, Mr. Gayman. This was an insightful show today. The reality is, we question some of these nominations that Joseph Boyka has been making. And I think Mr. Taiwo said it right. If your experience is not in relations to Liberia, people who didn't work on the ground, who don't understand, who have been absent for the last 15 to 20 years from our country, don't understand what's pressing in our nation at the present time. How can you nominate them when they work in a foreign entity and we're dealing with foreign, have foreign priorities? My point is, Joseph Boyka should appoint people who have been in Liberia, especially into a sensitive position like a foreign minister. You can't come and appoint, quote unquote, somebody from the diaspora to be our foreign minister because you don't know what's really going on in the country and what the country needs from our foreign partners. So for me, I think that's a sensitive position, and I think he made the wrong appointment in appointing Mrs. Besla Yanti. Maybe she can now go back to school and get a bachelor since she already got a master, do it backwards. And maybe in the future she can have that position because we think her experience from the UN is well valued. But at this time, we don't think she's the right person for that job. And you can see it from the senators. They're kind of just taking over. They were not taking her seriously. And I don't know if it's going to go well for her tomorrow. But I think it's nothing against her personally. I just think somebody else, somebody else who should get that position. But good show. I will leave it there. I don't want to take any more time.
Great. I think Mr. Eastman asking what is it she's going to do. We know what she's going to do. She had all the country devil. She had a country devil from each county. She had everybody over there. Mr. Gongo, please go ahead and close her out.
Yes. Thank you. I'll close on best law issue. There is a precedence here, probably more precedent than I can recall in recent time. Let's look at the two former ministers of internal affairs, Mr. Harrison Conway and Blamo Nelson. I watched our confirmation hearing at the Capitol building. The issue of degree was raised right after that they got nominated. But when they went to the Senate, they got confirmed based on their experiences in the different places they work. Okay, so there is a precedence on that. We can even go on to talk on other things. For me, I believe in fairness. And sometimes my belief about fairness is such that I want everybody to get in the dragnet. If somebody slip through and we don't catch them and we only penalize those who catch, for me, sometimes I think it's not fair, So Liberia is a country where people historically have come from the United States, from Europe and abroad with all kinds of dubious qualification and work in government. Okay. And I'm not saying it should continue. My serious problem is if Madam Beslow under oath tomorrow say I have a bachelor degree, or by now she has presented her resume to the Senate, to the legislature, all of them have it now. So if on that resume, on the oath, she can confirm those things, but she can prove that, that's a problem. But if she submit her resume, that on that resume, all these hurubalu about degree, they are all missing, but they all bunch of experiences, she can go and whatever the Senate say about her faith, she can face that. But here is my guess, and I will take this. I'll make this statement. This is a political appointment, and that's the person the president wants. At the end of the day, Cyril Beslow will be confirmed.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I think Mr. Goglo has been very succinct. If the president wants people to work for them, we cannot hire people to work in his company.
Yeah.
We can make suggestions and criticize, but at the end, when we are evaluating him, we will evaluate him based on people he surrounds himself with. We shouldn't give him a chance to say, well, I nominated Mr. Eastman. You said no, you didn't want him. You brought Mr. Gave me everything I fall apart. You can't come back and blame me. So I think the president we got to cut him a slack, do the honorable thing, gave him those that he believed will make his cabinet, make him better, that will carry out his policy as he sees it. That's what this is all about. Whether they lie in office, we will know later on. And that goes to the integrity issue of Mr. Boyka. But if he says he wants people that got dubious resume, fake resume, to work with him, we know what the end result will be. Give him a rotten apple, because we know that one rotten apple may spoil the rest of it. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning in next Sunday. If it's Sunday 4 o'clock, but before I close here on our closing song, I want to remind you again, Miami, we are hosting the World Cup. The bronze medal tournament is going to be held in Miami. We are talking about the bronze. We're talking about the bronze.
We said the third place game. You're welcome. We said third place game.
The third place game, my man.
We're talking about
Olympics. Not Olympics.
In Minnesota,
we have the opening match in Philadelphia.
Which one you hosting in Minnesota? Tell me that day. Miami, we are going to be holding the third place or bronze.
President, we will be there. The man
Of
free now.
course,
We'll
of
watch his son
course,
play
of
all the
course.
games. Nobody will complain about him.
They call him King George. Ladies and gentlemen, as we always say, we are all, whether you are partisan, like somebody said, they look at my shirt, they look at how I look, they see the CDC in me, and they wonder where is the real host for this show. Thank you very much, and let's go together. We are all Liberians.
All right, good.
We all Liberians.